Timesplitters, a classic arcade shooter and a good candidate for spiritual successor to Perfect Dark and GoldenEye 64. A colorful and exciting game for the time, it had captured my imagination long after its initial release in 2002. I decided to bring up this game as the subject to my first video because it is something close to my heart, and talking about it reminds me of the days of my childhood when I could sit all day and play through the whole game in one sitting. I can't say I remember the exact year, but I was around 8 years old when I first played Timesplitters 2 at a friend's house. At that time, I hadn't seen the upper limits of what a video game could be. I really only knew what I had played on the N64. So when I got my hands on the PS2 controller and actually played, I was astounded. The color, the music, the gameplay, everything had me so enamored I forgot to get the name of the game! My forgetfulness aside, I eventually did find the game at a local flea market almost 5 years after the initial release. But from there, I played the game almost endlessly. I was mesmerized by a game I had once thought I would never find again. What really kept me playing was the core gameplay and the story that came with it. I'm not going to try and explain why every aspect of the game is glorious, because honestly, it hasn't aged that well. I really felt this when it came to trying to aim carefully, and a few other aspects I'll talk about later. Though I do want to say why I like Timesplitters for its charm and inventive gameplay, I will also analyze its shortcomings. Some of these lesser attributes are the most prominent in TS2's story mode. I'll be brief with the story mode because there's not a whole lot of background information you need to understand what it's about. They're aliens that came out of the darkness to kill everyone by ruining all of history. So we get two bad enough dudes, Corporal Hart and Vin Diesel from Pitch Black, to destroy the aliens' time crystals, but they gotta go back in time to get them. Now, I'm not trying to say that the story is forgettable or unnecessary, but there are a few reasons why it isn't a big part of the overall mode. Even if I hadn't said anything about the background info, it doesn't have a huge impact on the mode overall. The main characters are only present in 2 cutscenes in the final level, and at the same time, instead of having Vin Diesel run around through different periods of time, he takes on the form of someone from that age, a la Quantum Leap. Even the namesake Timesplitters are at the end of each of these levels, only making an appearance once you've cleared the main objective. This is perfect for the audience that played Timesplitters because, in the words of John Carmack, the story is expected, but it's not that important. Each level plays out almost the same way the plot would in a cheesy B-movie that doesn't try to be different. You've got your spy movie, your western, and even your weird 50s sci-fi movie. Time travel has always been a good way to add a lot of color to a game or movie, and the developers of Timesplitters, Free Radical Design, understood this well. However, this is not to say that every single story was the most interesting, unique, or well implemented. Some of the future segments blended together because they shared a lot thematically. A great example is the Everything's Machines future in levels such as the Robot Factory and Neo Tokyo. On the same note, levels such as Neo Tokyo, where the player is expected to sneak around their objectives, seem out of place for the shooter that Timesplitters is meant to be, or having puzzle elements like the Aztec level or Western level. Though some of the levels are at fault and some of the non-shooting aspects of the game were strange, it still holds up to be fun and exciting for all players because the core gameplay works. Gameplay is simple enough if you've ever played a first-person shooter. Point the gun, press the shoot button, repeat steps 1 and 2 until you win or until you die, whichever really comes first. Sometimes it gets a bit more advanced with guns you can charge then shoot, or weapons that have alternative firing modes like the AK's grenade launcher. Speaking of which, the variety of weapons is also great, and aside from the basic Rudy-Tooty point and shooties, many of the other arms play differently, such as crossbows, electro tools, and bricks apparently, because you can always use brick instead of a gun. Who brought bricks? Characters play a small role in multiplayer as well, as they each have their own set of stats, though how much this actually affects play is hard to tell, since usually all that changes is hitbox, speed, and resistances the player has against being attacked. There's also a variety of maps and game modes to play on that range from the standard to strange. Most maps are unique to the arcade leagues and multiplayer, but there are also arena versions of story mode levels, such as the Robot Factory, Aztec, and Euphopia, or UFopia. Some of the levels are a lot less memorable than others because of their color palette and layout, such as Training Ground and Sight, but others like Ice Station and Mexican Mission are the first levels I think of when reminiscing about TS2. I will say that even though there are plenty of maps to play on, there are always the few I end up revolving around the most. With 16 levels to unlock, there's plenty of room for replay, especially when all the game modes are factored in as well. Free Radical did a really good job with the game modes they created, though a few of them still have problems. So to start, we have the basics such as Deathmatch, Elimination, Last Stand, and Timesplitters' own version of Capture the Flag, Capture the Bag. Then there are the game modes that are more out there. You have Leech, where you gain health from attacking others, Shrink, where the lower you are on the scoreboard the smaller you are, and the favorite of many, Virus. It's exactly what it sounds like. You go around infecting people until either time runs out and the uninfected win, or until everyone is burning in their skin. It burns! By far, what takes the cake for being the strangest game mode has to be Monkey Assistant. So it's a standard game of deathmatch. The name probably gives away what the catch is. Whoever's in last gets a team of weapon-wielding monkeys that shoot to kill and more often than not go after the leader of the scoreboard. It's game modes like these, along with all the other unique elements of Timesplitters 2, that has kept it in mind to talk about for all these years. Something about the maps, the scenes, the characters, even the monkeys are what make this game so great. In fact, it's especially the monkeys. Look at them. They're beautiful. They're so dang cute. I think that's really what made me want to make this video. It's not enough to simply remember something. To make anything last, it must be shared and discussed with friends and acquaintances alike. But yeah, I like this game. It's good. I think I'm rambling a little bit at this point. Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate if you've gotten this far into the video. And please put any insults, mostly probably entirely insults, or hopefully any creative criticism you have as well at the bottom in the comments section. Thank you so much for watching, and have a nice day.